Number 155, writing functions in terms of cofunctions. Let's explore. Let's call this angle A. Let's call this angle B. And let's go through a typical triangle that we should have learned in geometry called the 30-60 triangle, 30-60 right triangle. What we should have learned is that all 30-degree angles, okay, let's just say this was 30 degrees. Here's another angle that's 30 degrees right here. Here's another angle that's maybe 30 degrees right here. All of these angles are 30 degrees. Well, what they would have in common is that this height, okay, whatever it is, it would be half of its hypotenuse. Okay, so what we could say is that, let's call this a 1, the hypotenuse would be 2. Then upon doing the Pythagorean theorem, we would get square root 3. Then we should have learned in Pythagorean triples from high school that it doesn't matter what the sides are, it's going to fall into this pattern. So you could have 10, 5, and 5 root 3 in those specific places. Okay, now what we need to do here is this. Let's just go ahead and use this triangle here to help us discover something about what are called cofunctions. Alright, sine of 30 is half, which is the same thing as cosine 60. Sine 60 is root 3 over 2, which is the same thing as cosine 30. Tangent 60 equals square root 3, which is the same thing as cotangent 30 degrees. Okay? What we have here is a very simple pattern. The pattern is this. If you notice, 30 plus 60, 90. 60 plus 30, 90. 60 plus 30, 90. The pattern is this. Sine of angle A will equal the cosine of angle B. Okay? Another way of writing that is this. Sine of angle A equals cosine of, well, let's take a look at what do we know about A and B? We know that A and B will always add up to 90 degrees. So we could call B 90 minus A. And this is basically the overall usage of a cofunction. We would call cosine a cofunction of sine. We would call cotangent a cofunction of tangent, even though actually cotangent is also an inverse of tangent. We would also call them cofunctions. Now, cosine's not an inverse of sine, but it is a cofunction. So you can see that there would be a slight misunderstanding on some of this. As it turns out, there's actually 6 of these, although you could argue that these two are basically the same. Sine of A equals cosine 90 minus A. Cosine B equals sine of 90 minus B, excuse me, that should be a B there. Tangent C equals cotangent of 90 minus C. Cosecant of A equals 90 minus A. Okay, those are good. I left it. Those is all A's. Okay. Alright. Now, that's a B. That's a C. As you can see, those two are basically the same. And these two are basically the same. Cosecant of A would equal secant of 90 minus A, and then secant of A would equal cosecant of 90 minus A. Okay, now, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's write cosine 73 as a cofunction. It's very simple. The cofunction would be sine of 90 minus 73, so therefore, sine of 17 degrees. It's that easy. Next one, tangent 24.5 would equal cotangent of whatever 90 minus 24.5 is, which would be 65.5 degrees. Okay, because 90 minus 24.5. Next one, right as a cofunction, cosecant. What's the cofunction of cosecant? Well, actually, the way you figure this out is what's the inverse of cosecant? Sine. So what would you use? Cosine. What's the inverse of cosine? Secant. Alright. So we would have this equal to secant of 90 minus theta plus 15. So therefore, secant equals 75 minus theta. Questions or concerns? Please send me an email. And please, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and check out the blog, because that's where I got all the videos organized for you on the index page. And if anybody has any questions, please send me an email. Good times.